Hello, my beautiful Voidian children. Today we are rereading the entirety of Russian Roulette because let's face it, the sound on the last one is very bad. Very bad. And I've been meaning to redo this anyways. Yeah. Anyway, this time I managed to get the volume on the outside too, so you can actually hear my voice instead of me having to summonize the video like last time. Oh, I forgot to mention in that last video, I am working on a nostalgia edit, but that will be a while. So you'll see it eventually. Anyway, on to reading this story. I'm really excited about redoing this, especially since I'm very behind. I've been way too busy to read it. And frankly, I just haven't had the energy to read. And then I'd have to also post it on my channel. And I haven't posted on my channel in a while. And you guys probably think I'm dead. But I'm alive, unfortunately. So, with that being said, did I say hello to you guys? Did I say hello, my beautiful Voidian children? I don't remember. But hello. Anyway, with that being said, let's get to reading. The barren, toxic wasteland stretched on for miles, passing the horizon. The toxic fumes had yet to settle. One breath could be lethal. Unconscious bodies piled up on the air. Perhaps not unconscious, but rather dead. With their lifeless eyes and expressions that seemed like a hoarse scream were stuck on the tips of their tongues. It was a bloody and gruesome scene. Two people stood amongst it all, one lying on the ground with a fatal life-threatening injury to the heart. The other kneeled next to the injured person. The person's blood slowly seeped into the ground, dyeing it a crimson shade of red. The metallic scent of blood was overpowering by the deathly poison in the air around them. I stopped reading this to my mom because Russia just keeps getting gayer and gayer and it's making me uncomfortable. Anyway, the other's eyes were dull and bloodshot. Their expressions held no trace of any emotion, as if they had gone numb towards the pain. The entire perimeter was wiped out. The city was desolated and no longer held any trace of life. It was a lost cause. No amount of nights would be able to save this cursed place. Right at this moment, the silence was deafening. Depending on how long this video goes, when I end the chapter, I might read chapter 2 as well. Yeah. Past the stone walls, you could hear the loud voices. They all spoke the same thing. The word passed from person to person like a tidal wave. Hey, have you heard? The leader of the revolution is getting executed today. Meanwhile, inside the prison, the large steel doors swung open as a young man bound in chains was escorted through the door by 2 guards. Immediately as he entered, he was hit with the stench of rusting metal. A gust of cold air brushed against his skin, making him shiver. As he walked, the chains on his ankles dragged on the floor. It made a noise every step he took. His head was covered by a sack. The leader was famous for never revealing his face to anyone. No one had ever seen his face other than the government officials when they captured him. The guards were quite rough with him. After unlocking the empty prison cell, they threw him inside without a care whether or not he'd be hurt. I said that backwards. But anyway, they then removed the sack from his head, since the other prisoner would not be able to see his face either way. Damn. The fuck? They shut the door with a loud clang, then stared at the prisoner with mocking eyes. Don't even think about breaking out. You may be the most infamous person here right now, but you're nothing without your powers. The young man stared at the 2 guards with narrow eyes. His eyes followed them as they walked out of the prison, laughing. Once he determined for sure that they had already left, he let out a sigh of relief. He lifted his hands, but they were bound by black chains encircled around his wrists. These chains were made by a special metal that restricts the usage of abilities. So right now, he was the equivalent of a cripple. What is a leader without their ability or people? They're so overkill. There's no need to bound me by 4 different chains on each limb. One would have been enough. the man complained, without expecting a reply. Shockingly enough, though, he did. Well, you are a pretty notorious figure. I guess it would be reasonable for them to have extra caution with you. The young man grinned at his response, quite content with being able to find someone to talk to while awaiting his inevitable death. The person on the other side of the wall continued. Let me guess, did the military's little dog apprehend you? Well, then how about you? The young man continued to listen in on the crowd's commotions from past the prison walls. The other prisoners replied, I was captured by him. That's why I'll never forget his face. What a shame. Such a good-looking young man with a bright future, yet giving himself up to work for the king. Indeed, what a shame. The other prisoner could hear the young man smiling as he spoke. The young man spoke again. Will you be watching my execution? It's a very special one where prisoners are not. You'd be able to watch it. The other prisoner was silent for a while. You could hear water dripping slowly from the ceiling. I'm pretty sure the only reason they're letting everyone watch is to strike fear into the people's hearts, to prevent them from rising a vote like you did. But in any case, I'm going to watch. I miss looking at the outside world anyways. Then I'll put on a good show. We'll see about that. The young man, what are you in for? The other party let out a series of unbridled laughter, but it was laced with despair and regret. Let's say I went against the ruler of my kingdom. It was ages ago, though. I see. Similar to me, then. The young man seemed to be thinking about something. He spoke slower and more solemnly. The other prisoner could tell and wanted to keep chatting instead of making the atmosphere serious. Which kingdom are you from? Britannia. His eyes widened slightly. How could Britannia burst someone like you who hates the kingdom that rules to the bone? Britannia is the best out of all the kingdoms. Wouldn't you have a good childhood? Or at least the king and queen would have treated their people well over there. The young man scoffed. I love my home kingdom. I just don't like the others. My childhood is important for you to know. I'm so jealous of you. I wish I could have been born there instead of Europe. That place is a land of sickness and plague. People would usually stay away from me the second I tell them that I'm from there. Trust me, you would not want to be jealous of me. His blue eyes averted to the floor, though they were different shades of blue from each other. The door of the prison abruptly slammed open. The two guards from before walked up to the young man's cell. The lock clicked open. They forced the sack on his head again without resistance from the other party. Walk straight ahead. No funny business. They nudged him forward. The young man spoke as he walked. It was nice talking to you, Spain. I fucking love this story. Spain's eyes widened. He shot up from his seat and slammed his hands against the bars of the cell. How do you know my name? He raised his voice and clenched the bars tightly until his knuckles were white. The chain encircled around his wrist jingled as he did. You'll see. I told you I'd show you a good show, didn't I? Holy crap, when you don't know how to speak! The young man slowly disappeared from the line of sight of the prison door closed. Spain sluggishly slumped down on his knees with his fingers still around the cell bars. He found the leader to be eerily calm. A static screen appeared on the wall of the prison cell. It was like a hologram. It flickered on. The screen displayed a massive crowd underneath a platform. Atop the platform were two guards adored in the kingdom. Two guards adored in the famous kingdom guard attire, with a sword in their hand. The executioners, no doubt. In front of the platform, behind the crowd, were all the rulers of each kingdom. They were all sat in their appropriate thrones. The person in the middle was definitely the center of it all. Their sitting positions on the wall so that they could look over from the crowd beyond the best view. You know, it still doesn't say who the leader of everything is. Like, you could, theorize Soviet Union, but then it's like Soviet Union is Russia's dad and Russia's a dragon in this, so obviously he's not ruler because dragons are not welcome. Racism. And you could theorize Nazi Germany, but he's dead, and as you guys know, Germany is, not, I'm just so curious, who is the leader? Who is the leader? Anyway, Spain clenched his teeth. Good luck getting out of this one. This one. Meanwhile, atop of the walls where they could not be seen was a small group of people wearing cloaks. The one that seemed to be in charge lifted his head, revealing a face covered by a mask and horns sticking out of his cloak. It's Russia. We all know this because if anyone be, you know what, there might be new listeners. I should shut the fuck up. Anyway, move out. Should I skip the line? Fuck you guys. I'm not skipping lines. When the prisoner walked up the steps of the stage, a pair of dragon wings abruptly extended from the person in the cloak's back. Move out, he commanded in a husky voice. I can't do a Russian accent or any other accents except maybe a little bit of a British one, so don't expect anything from me. As I've said before. Without another wasted word, the group dispersed to surround the walls. They were... I actually don't know that word. So they were not spotted. The one with the dragon wings stood in his spot and sneered. America, you are an absolute hassle to deal with. Anyways, it's only been 10 minutes, so we're going to read chapter 2 as well. This chapter is called The Beginning of the End. I'm a little fucked. The young prince's eyelashes fluttered open gingerly. The scent of nectar overwhelmed him. Green filled his eyes as he sat beneath a tree that shaded him from the sunlight. The wind caused the tree to rustle and the grass to dance. You can picture this shit. That's how good this story is. I carried a wave of warmth that enveloped his pale white and unblemished skin. The prince's gaze was listless. He shifted in his position and felt something odd beneath his back. His gaze averted to the remnants of the battle that surrounded him. Scratch marks, burn marks, blood splatter, a dozen crevices and holes. He lifted his head to the left side of his chest. Hand. My bad. Shut up, y'all are nothing. The sound of a heartbeat pounding vibrated against his hand. I'm dyslexic. Don't judge me. Your Highness, someone spoke. It snapped the prince out of his trance. It was a maid. She held both of her hands neatly on her skirt. Speak. His gaze remained impassive. She swallowed her words in fright. Your father requested you to watch over the new prisoner in the dungeon until he is to be executed in a month. The prince's eyes brightened significantly, like a flickering flame being reignited after a tranquil sea. But it was only for a split second before he returned back to his nonchalant expression. The workers here at the palace were generally quite adept at reading expressions to avoid the royal family throwing a tantrum and, in the end, directing it at them. The maid saw the expression this princess made, which made her shocked and thoroughly confused. You're dismissed. I'll see myself to the dungeon on my own. She lifted her skirt to bow and scattered her way back to the workers' headquarters. Once the prince was certain she was gone, he leaned his head back on the tree trunk and let out a low sigh. Don't ask why I decided to do it like that. A smile crept on his face. He then just got up from his spot, revealing a hole behind where he was once sitting. It had been smashed through the tree trunk. The tree seemed like it was hanging on for dear life, just to not fall over. The stairway to the dungeon was dark. The pathway was illuminated by a few measly torches hung on the walls. When he reached the bottom, in front of him was a long hallway that had prison cells along it. As the prince walked, the other prisoners who were locked in these cells all cowered in fear, hoping he'd walk past quicker. Then he got to the end of the hallway, a desolate cell with no other prisoners around it. There was someone kneeling, chained up on the wall by their arms and legs. They had an ice-cold glare. Their body was covered in injuries. The two guards were guarding the cells, saluted the prince. Your Highness, open the cell door, the prince commanded. Your Highness, we can't do that. He's a highly dangerous criminal. He even tried to assess the young prince snapped his head at them with a terrifyingly dark glare. I fucking love reading things out loud, even though I stumble over my words. Anyway. You dare disobey? You think I'm not strong enough to handle him?" The two guards said nothing else. Anyone would know how powerful a prince is. The military's ace card, often called a human weapon, and he indeed lives up to that name. "I'm hungry. I'll be right back." I'm back. I changed spots because I want to sit on your couch with my baby. My doggy. This one right here. Anyway, I didn't find anything that I wanted to eat, so I'm just not going to eat anything. So, back to the story. They shut their mouths and opened the cell door. "You're the mist. Y'all, I swear, these things are totally unscripted, and I don't do them again because I don't feel like rereading them. You guys get my fucking full ass. You guys already know. You know how I am. This is how my videos will always be. Probably gonna annoy the heck out of people. You're dismissed. Let me talk to him alone." Without another word, the two guards left the dungeon. All that's left in the end of this isolated hallway was the prince and the criminal. The young prince walked up to the criminal and squatted to look him in the eyes. "Shut up." "I love you too." I fucking lost my place. All the other party gave him was a deathly chilling stare. But to his surprise, the prince smiled instead. "I'm America. What's your name?" America inquired. "Why should I answer you?" the prisoner retorted. His voice was husky and he had an accent, no doubt not from this kingdom. The prisoner was chained to the wall by their ankles and wrists. These chains were no ordinary chains, but ability-suppressing chains. He had horns on his head and a tail that were the shade of blue, which contrasted his fierce ember eyes. "Well, I already know your name anyway, Russia." Russia stayed silent, only continuing to glare at the handsome prince in front of him. "Stop being gay." "I haven't seen one of your kind in a while. A dragon." The American tilted his head to the right in fascination. There you go, baby. I lost my place again. It was clear the dragon was starting to get more and more irritated by the prince. He then pointed out, "Your injuries are almost gone already, huh? From when you tried to assassinate me? Well, after we fought, and you were dragged away, I sat down beneath the oak tree you punctured, and used a few minutes to heal myself." America recited the events of what happened with full honesty. The American prince placed his hand on Russia's chin and lifted his head up so the dragon's eyes would stay on him. "What a handsome criminal you are." He is so cocky, and I love him so much. I love cocky characters. "Wanted in all the kingdoms for mass murder and arson." America grinned at him while admiring his face. "My frickin' nose is itchy." Anyway, Russia's eyes narrowed more at the mention of this, and his eyebrows furrowed in displeasure. "Fuck off." He emphasizes I'm just gonna skip that word. I'm not doing this. Each word as it dripped with hatred. "I hate royals like you with every fiber of my being. You're all hypocrites." The smile on America's face didn't waver, still as bright as ever. "I see. Well, at least that's one thing we have in common." Russia paused for a moment when he said that. Then America continued, "You'll be executed in a month, but I have an offer for you. Be my private guard, and I'll make sure you won't be executed. Of course, as long as you do your job properly." America let go of his face. "Do we have a deal?" "Over my dead body. What makes you think I'd trust you?" "Then would you rather get your head chopped off by the kingdom in a month?" The prince raised an eyebrow. Russia shut up for a moment to think about it. But he felt that America was a prince and a royal, no doubt, and he was just a filthy dragon who happens to be a wanted criminal as well. Racism! So cute. To be honest, though, America was also a murderer because he was the military's little weapon. The Russian couldn't help feel suspicious as well. When he fought America earlier and tried to kill him, he didn't lack skills at all, so why would he need a guard? And why him specifically? America noticed the growing suspicion on the Russian's expression. I know you're skeptical, but even if this was a trap, at least you'd be prolong your life, and you get more chances to kill me. How about that? You sure you want an executioner with you at all times? The Russian replied with a shit-eating grin on his face. America sneered in discontent. You won't be able to kill me anyways. Russia found it annoying. He felt like America was mocking him. All he wanted to do right now was snap the prince's neck to shut him up, but his abilities were currently suppressed. He felt weak. He hated that. In a moment of indignation, the dragon sunk his teeth into the American's arm. Feisty! Bet y'all thought I was gonna say Oh, Lord. His teeth were somewhat sharp, so a trail of blood trickled down America's arm. I imagine his teeth are sharp. He's a fucking dragon. America frozen in place for a while before snapping out of it and jerking his arm away. Looks like someone's in a bad mood. Then it would be wise for you to leave this someone alone. America didn't argue with that. He rubbed the mark on his arm from the bite and grinned. I'll see you tomorrow for your first day of work, Russia. The Russian neither confirmed nor denied it, just staying silent while glaring at the prince with his piercing gaze. Weirdo, he muttered under his breath as the door to the cell closed. As much as the Russian hated to admit it, that was the first time in quite a while that he had been called by his name. He didn't expect much from the prince, but to his surprise, the next day, America came back, this time holding another key. The American squatted down and unlocked the chains that bounded him. Russia could feel his power flowing through him. The first thing he did was reach his hands out to snap the prince's neck. The prince avoided it with a tilt of his head. Suddenly, a dagger appeared in front of the dragon's neck. It's made out of ability-suppressing metal. Your skin won't be able to block it. Behave. Dragons have the ability to harden their skin at will. It's pretty effective for normal swords and weapons, but when it comes to ability-suppressing metal, no ability can block it. Seeing the situation, Russia scoffed and retreated his claws. An ability all dragons have are claws, which can be retreated and extended at will. They're very sharp and can give you very nasty scars if you don't die of blood loss first. How about we get you in uniform first, so you can look the part as well? Russia rolled his eyes. He knew that no matter how he protested, the prince was dead set on him being his guard. The prince dragged the dragon to the royal tailor to get an outfit done. The tailor himself jumped in shock when he saw the dragon. The discrimination against them was still blazing strong. I'd like a uniform, America stared. It wasn't a request. The Russian honestly had no clue when it came to these things, but it seemed like it was fine to leave it to America, who was already making requests. With a wave of the hand, the materials all grouped up together. The outfit seemed to create itself, but in reality, the tailor controlled all the movements. After Russia put it on, a bright grin creeped on America's face. You look great. You look good in a uniform. The tailor was even more shocked when he saw this. It's fucking uncomfortable. He pulled on his sleeve a few times. And you better get used to it, America laughed. As he left the room, Russia's gaze moved to the tailor, who seemed to be anxious being alone in the same room as him. The dragon narrowed his eyes and spoke in an interrogating tone. What is the prince planning? Is he usually like this? The tailor waved his hands frantically. I don't know. I really don't know. The prince usually never smiles. He's terrifying to look at. Russia huffed and left without another word. He caught up to the prince and was about to reach out and snap his neck again, but the prince already unsheathed his dagger, seemingly prepared for this. Russia clicked his tongue in annoyance and retreated his claws again. You have your horns visible, but not your tail. America raised an eyebrow. Won't the clothes rip? It's made of a special fabric. It won't. Feel free to show your tail and wings if you want. No one will judge. You act like you hate the uniform but still care if it's damaged or not. Another feature dragons have by birth are tails, horns, and wings, but they can choose to hide it or show it. If they hide their tails, they cannot use it unless it's visible again. They can't go a long time with hiding their features. Hiding them takes up energy, so most prefer to show two features and only hide one for practicality. Russia said nothing in response, but rather a tail that wasn't there before appeared. The king wanted me to go to the academy tomorrow to learn more. I'll have you tag along as a student there. The Russian narrowed his eyes in suspicion. He had never went to school due to discrimination against dragons. Although the ban on dragons entering the kingdom had been lifted recently, surely they wouldn't accept an arsonist dragon onto a prestigious academy. America noticed his expression. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. The ban was recently lifted, and now you guys can use the basic facilities anyway. Just because we're not banned anymore doesn't mean we're not discriminated against. They clearly still don't want us here. I guess that is true, but you're strong enough to defend yourself, are you not? The prince continued. In any case, we'll leave tomorrow morning for the academy. We'll be staying in dorms as well. Oh yeah, there's also, he stopped peeking midway and swiftly lifted his arms to block the tail that was swinging straight at him. The tail hit the arm with such large force that it sent the prince flying. He smashed straight into the pillar nearby, creating a crater. The sleeve of the prince's uniform ripped on impact. The smoke cleared out after a few seconds. What Russia saw was a bright smile on the prince's face. The impact didn't seem to affect him that much. Usually a direct hit would make people cough out blood by now. The dragon's tail swayed back to its original resting position. What an ability you have. Offense, defense, and regeneration all in one. Go easy on me. The king already lashed me with a whip yesterday for my outrageous request of having you as a guard. America dusted off his shoulders and sleeves like nothing interesting happened. Russia furrowed his brows. Why let yourself get hurt just for me to be your guard? America continued to walk next to Russia with his hands behind his back. Heh, none of your business. I fucking love him, bro. The Russian got even more annoyed. What sort of logic was that? The prince was silent for a while. Say, do you want to start a revolution with me? He asked nonchalantly as they continued to walk. Ha ha, very funny. The Russian rolled his eyes and crossed his arms. I'm serious. America turned his head to meet Russia, who was taller than him. The dragon's gaze was chilling. Don't shit with me. His tail slid up the shortest male's body, wrapping it firmly in place, and it wrapped around tighter and tighter. Why would you feel like you need to rebel? What for? Are you deaf or dumb? Did you not get the fucking clue that I hate it here? I am only a tool to the king. Why should I keep my mouth shut? Do I not have the right to live my life? The prince's gaze was equally chilling. They both stared at each other. The tail wrapped around America, slackened and eventually let go. Slackened. I don't know. Anyway. Russia scoffed and proceeded to walk away. As he walked, he muttered one last thing. Now that is a terrifying human weapon that everyone in the kingdom knows. America stood in place, staring at the figure that slowly disappeared from his sight. And that's the terrifying dragon I know. America lifted his arms where his sleeve was ripped. There was a bite mark on his arm. And that will be all for now. I love you, my beautiful Voidian children, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.